Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Dylan here. We have a major bombshell today about Jen Psaki, the former White House press secretary, Joe Biden's White House press secretary. She's getting absolutely canceled right now, and nasty truth is really being uncovered, not only about Jen Psaki, but about the Democratic movement. We are witnessing the downfall of the Democratic movement, and especially with Jen Psaki. So we're going to dive in, but before we do, we're going to read scripture because God comes first. Amen? Comment amen below if you believe God comes first. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Amen. So comment amen down below. And my brothers and sisters, congratulations to everyone who has begun investing in the stock market under President Trump. The stock market just hit a new all-time high, so we are celebrating. And this is the best time to get started. We have a free offer linked below. You can sign up, join, or you can scan this QR code and get signed up in a few minutes. Just take out your phone, point it at the screen, click that link, and you can start investing with just a couple of dollars. Okay, so Jen Psaki is getting absolutely canceled right now, and the people over on The Five just went absolutely scorched earth on Democrats who are saying, oh, what about the political violence on both sides? Is this the both sides issue? So we're talking about Pritzker, we're talking about Hakeem Jeffries, we're talking about Jen Psaki and other people who are really kind of blaming, and it's kind of crazy to say, but they're blaming Trump after he almost got assassinated. So let's tune in.
Well, you are looking there at shocking new photos of suspected shooter Cole Allen taken in his hotel room just moments before he attacked the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The shooting marked the...
Bro was taking selfies before, and he was armed with how many weapons? How did he get in there in the first place unchecked?
Third attempted assassination plot targeting President Trump in just 2 years. And despite fresh calls to cool the rhetoric that puts a target on Trump's back, some on the left are digging in. Governor J.B. Pritzker, when reacting to the DOJ indicting Comey, somehow finding a way to accuse Trump of inciting violence.
What? Even after he almost got assassinated, then they're making Trump look like the bad guy? What the heck, man?
This president is guilty of inciting violence, and now he's using the First Amendment. He's going after people for exercising their First Amendment rights and claiming that they're the ones who are attacking people. This whole administration seems full of people who are just following whatever this demented president tells them to do.
He's saying that after Trump was nearly assassinated, calling him a demented president.
Others on the left are deflecting, insisting that political violence is not a Democrat problem, even though Republicans have been the target of numerous attacks. Watch.
No one's legitimizing violence in any way. I have very little patience for this.
Wait, did George Stephanopoulos get fired? Is this his new show from his couch? Did I miss something?
Has the president faced 3 threats in the last couple of years? Absolutely. Is that abominable? Absolutely. The problem of political violence and extremism is evident on both sides.
The Democrats are blamed all for their rhetoric. When what I hear over and over again is Democrats saying, please tone it down, please tone down the rhetoric. That's not what we stand for. And we have seen, frankly, from the other side, from Trump and others, elevated rhetoric. Now, you don't want to get a he said, she said place, but it's really infuriating.
Wait, so Joe Biden's former White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, is blaming Trump after he almost got assassinated how many times now?
Elevated rhetoric. Now, you don't want to get a he said, she said place, but it's really infuriating.
But Vice President J.D. Vance is pushing back, telling Will Cain that rage-fueled Democrats need to take a long look in the mirror.
If you're engaged in that kind of rhetoric, you need to check yourself. If you're part of the left wing in this country, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, why is it that so many of the people who are firing guns at their political opponents agree with my perspective and listen to the same sources of information that I listen to? Maybe that suggests the left has got to tone down the rhetoric a little bit.
Yeah, Jesse, it's incredible how lopsided it is. I don't know the rose-colored glasses that they're using.
Well, the glasses are worn by 2 Democrat press flacks for Democrat presidents. Where would they get this idea, Emily, that Trump is such a threat, that he needs to be taken out? Where would they get the idea that he's such a unique danger, a genocidal dictator like Hitler, who at any day could just kill everybody in sight?
Well, Hillary Clinton compared Trump to Hitler on The View, right, Jesse?
Where would they get the idea that he's mentally deranged and that the cabinet and perhaps the military might have to do something about that? That he's already putting immigrants, innocent ones, in concentration camps and killing innocent fishermen? Where would they get the idea that he was a Russian traitor, a sexist, white supremacist who his slogan means really go back to when women and blacks couldn't vote? This isn't coming from the dark underbelly of the internet. This is coming from the mainstream media.
And the leading Democrats, too, like Hakeem Jeffries, Yasmin Crockett, AOC. Political violence on both sides? Greg Gutfeld's like, are you joking me?
Yeah, and also the research that the media uses to kind of equate both sides is incredibly flawed. A joke even. I mean, I could just list the types of crimes, whether it is ambushes. We remember the ambushes. We remember the sustained rioting, the sustained looting, the attacks on government facilities, the attacks on law enforcement, businesses, individuals, religious institutions. It's like something nearly 500 in the past, 7 years that could be linked to the left, one to the right, January 6th. And that has been exploited. We know that. I am going to say let's just ignore the rhetoric. We're never going to get past that. The rhetoric thing is done. It's a tradition in America to say bad things about people. So why don't we just ask who's guilty of the violence? That's the avoidance that we're seeing in the media. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get us into the battle over rhetoric. Well, you guys do it too. Well, I do it too. Okay, then let's just find out what side's words lead to violence. Because I agree with you, Trump says some really mean things, but we don't kill the Democrats afterwards. Liberals won't advance to that next step. They want you to believe it's about the quantity of rhetoric when it's really the quantity of violence from the rhetoric. The Dems simply compare the rhetoric divorced from the sustained violence. It is that simple. And I'm invested in that. I'm invested in that a lot. I am very wary of people who say both sides. And I think because it betrays, it's a confession. When somebody says both sides are doing it, they're not denying that they're doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got me.
But I want to be clear.
Wait, no, I'm not talking about you, Harold.
I'm guilty of what you said. I admit both sides do it. I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let me. When somebody says both sides do it, they aren't defending their side. They're just saying you do it too. So instead of arguing against the accusation, they expand the definition of what it is. So I'm just talking about...
Yeah, I guess what he's saying is like both sides is justifying that it's okay because, both people do it, so it's okay. Rather than being like, we should stop.
Violence, okay? That was created by political instruction to do so. By all means necessary, eliminate. But they said, well, you call Democrats communists. You call them losers and creeps. Not the point. I'm just talking about the sustained violence. So when they say on both sides, they are basically just shifting, I hate to say goalposts, but they're changing it. My last point, then I'll shut up. We're all familiar with the broken windows theory, where visible signs of disorder create a lack of societal control. And that encourages for more and more serious crimes. Where did this left-wing violence come from? Well, how many instances have we seen in the last 10 years where conservatives were targeted on campus? Pro-lifers get attacked, Riley Gaines gets swarmed, speakers are mobbed, vandalism everywhere. Countless attacks. Nobody gets charged. Tolerance towards that violence was the broken window theory that now makes it seem to younger people, young men, that violence is now more acceptable. It's the same kind of incubation you see on city streets where, vandalism, public urination then leads to mugging. So
that's a really good point, the broken window theory.
Whoa, that's crazy. I mean, Jen Psaki is somebody who has constantly talked trash on Trump, even after multiple assassination attempts. Jen Psaki said, Trump is acting like a cornered animal who knows he's losing. What in the world is she talking about? Knows he's losing? Dude, he won. He's winning. There can't be enough winning. Trump destroyed your favorite candidate in a landslide. And you're saying Trump knows he's losing? That's a lie. Trump doesn't know he's losing. So you're just lying now?
Trump has started so many feuds, he can't even keep track of them all. He's acting like a cornered animal.
He's literally not at all.
Lashing out at everyone and everything around him. And the reason's obvious. Trump knows he's losing.
Does Trump, are you convinced by this? Do you think Trump knows he's losing? I certainly don't. And I don't think she believes that either. I think she's just lying. She's reading a script. She's like an actor. But you know what's crazy to me about this is that she was the White House press secretary for Joe Biden. She was doing these same tactics up there. And if she's lying here on her own show now, what do you think she was doing up there to the podium speaking on behalf of the president? Do you trust this woman? Do you, like anybody on the left or the right can agree that Trump definitely does not think that he's losing. And he's definitely not acting like a cornered animal. So it's just crazy to me that she's okay with that. All right, take a listen here. We have breaking news.
Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno. I'm watching this market news today. And look, not everybody's invested in the stock market. But I think the president, you see in some of his comments today, he gets, it is no doubt time to turn to the home front, take care of business in Iran, return to the home front, and hit the hustings on these results.
Absolutely. Look, the reality is the stock market's up 20% from a year ago. 20%. There's no country on earth that has those kind of returns. And then we're seeing tax refunds go up 11%. He's making generational changes, whether in Latin America and the Middle East, and it's going to pay off big time.
Even one of you guys messaged me saying that your investments are up over 13 grand. I'm up over $32,000. And right now, we have a free offer. Or you can take out your phone right now and scan this code. Open up your camera app. Just download the app. It's totally free. You can get started today. And watch my free investing tutorial too. I break down everything that I'm buying. Now, I can't even believe my eyes when I read this, but Jen Psaki, they're calling to look at this. Shut the White House down. They're talking on strategies to stop Trump. This is insane. What do you mean, shut the White House down? Americans voted for Trump. Why would you want to stop him? Isn't this exactly what Democrats wanted? To support the winner of the election who won free and fairly?
Something we're going to have to do if we're the majority. We need to use the power we get to shut this White House down. We do that, I think one of the best ways is through committee hearings and investigations.
So the people on the left, they're literally serious about that. Jen Psaki said, prayer is not enough. This is the wildest person. You know, Jen Psaki, she's contributed so much to this anti-Trump rhetoric. And in my opinion, she's one of these people who, when you think about who are the worst of the worst people who talk trash on Trump and who have a big show and who's contributing to this anti-Trump rhetoric language that leads people to really hate Trump, especially during this time where Trump's facing assassination attempts, you think of Jen Psaki when she was like, oh, prayer is not enough. You guys need to do more than prayer. This is insane.
Welcome back. The White House slamming MSNBC host Jen Psaki yesterday. She's a former Biden White House press secretary, and she criticized people for offering thoughts and prayers in the aftermath of Wednesday's church school shooting. Here is current press secretary Caroline Leavitt's response.
I saw the comments of my predecessor, Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer. It's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves who need it right now more than ever.
And we want to bring in Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Thanks for being here on set. That's a treat for us, indeed. Jen Psaki addressed this last night on her show. Let's watch.
people in power, like, say, people in the White House, who are using their platforms to do anything other than call for action for sensible gun safety measures, they're doing anything else, like attacking me, which is a waste of time. They're doing anything but saying what should be done to help prevent tragedies like the shooting in Minneapolis. And because they're not doing that, frankly, they're not doing enough. And people shouldn't accept they're doing enough.
It's insane to me. And this is the same type of language. It's so disrespectful that Ilhan Omar used. You can compare Jen Psaki with Ilhan Omar, the way they talk about people dying. They really have no sympathy, and instead they make it use political. This is what Ilhan said right after Charlie Kirk died.
What I do know for sure is that, you know, Charlie was someone who once said, you know, guns save lives.
Look at her. She's trying to mock him. Oh, guns save lives. You know, it's so disrespectful, and it's also like, regardless of what your beliefs are on gun safety, it's not the right time. It's not the right time after a school shooting to make it political, and after somebody gets assassinated to make it political. But secondly, guns do save lives. We all know that. When you go to an airport, when there's armed people there, when you go to a big sporting events, you have armed officers there. People don't shoot each other because there's people there with guns to protect you. That's what Charlie Kirk actually argued, that at schools there should be armed officers at schools. That would lead to less school shootings. That was his point. And for Ilhan Omar and Jen Psaki to just be like, oh, let's make this political, it's a joke. Here's Doug in Exile talking about Jen Psaki. So I'll have his channel link below, my friends, but let's tune in.
The pro-woman's party is no such thing. Not if it's talking about Democrats. I know that much. I have 2 daughters, and we're voting Republican. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TeNapel. We're the happiest patriots on earth. We're going to continue to expand on the Doug Emhoff smacks around women theme that we've done on a couple of videos now. I hope you guys like this. Leave a comment below on what you think. Here's Colin Rugg. This is new information, guys, just came out. Doug Emhoff's former colleagues have come forward and say he refused to promote women who didn't flirt with him and would brag about yelling at women. Emhoff impregnated his nanny, is accused of assaulting his girlfriend, and now this. According to the Daily Mail, Emhoff was a known misogynist as the managing director of Venable in Los Angeles. I knew these creeps. I've worked in LA, guys. I knew them. Yes, they're there.
That this so-called always supporter of women actually smacked an ex-girlfriend in the face. No one's looked into this, I guess, other than the Daily Mail. Certainly Jen Psaki, I hope, wasn't aware of it when she let him get away with, I've always been like this, a supporter of women.
And the Democrats, you know, the more they say that they're feminist and they're pro-woman or whatever, just laugh in their face.
Well, Trump's also very pro-woman with the way that he's helping them in Iran as well.
They get her husband, Doug Emhoff, and they want us to believe that this man who cheated on his first wife and impregnated the nanny, they either aborted the child or he abandoned the child. Neither one is good. But when he sits down with the Jen Psakis of the world on MSNBC, if you're going to go there, then go there into what kind of a man and husband he is. Instead, this is what we got when he sat down with her over the weekend in Stop 15.
Interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think...
An incredibly supportive spouse? Dude, you're saying that to him after what you know, that he cheated on his first wife with the nanny, dude, and got the nanny pregnant and allegedly had an abortion with... Dude, that's crazy.
I think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman.
I've always been like this. My dad was like this, and to me, it's the right thing to do, you know.
Do you see a masculine man when you think of... when you look at Doug Emhoff, do you think, oh, that's masculinity?
What happened to believe all women? We're going to continue on this accusation. Emhoff would scream at women and yell expletives at them and then brag about it with his male colleagues. Quote, what's worse was he bragged about it to the management at Venable, and they were aghast. He's an a-hole. He told them how he, quote, put her in her place, unquote, a misogynist. That's who does that, unquote, a staffer said. Emhoff was, quote, very flirty, unquote, and, quote, if you weren't flirty back or didn't respond positively when you were treated like you went on his S list, a female staffer said. That's kind of normal for the strong-arming, old-school, misogynist scumbag. This is not some new feminist sensitive to women. Here's a great TikToker I pulled some quotes from.
Now, as far as voting for somebody who doesn't want to protect women, let's address something. This was a vote for the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. Not one Democrat voted to keep men out of women's sports. Where's our voice? Where's our protections to an equal competition?
Go ask any woman in sports. I know I have girls that were athletes. They played volleyball. They played soccer. Who came out to defend? Who's really pro-woman? Or is the Democrat just going to talk about my body, my rights, my body? What about your right to have a fair playing field? Or to not have Doug Emhoff smack you around and get away with it and have your entire party zip it over you.
Damn. Now check this out. Jen Psaki shocks the View. Host finds out she can write a book. This is Doug in Exile. So I'll have his channel link below, my friends. Let's tune in, guys.
I know you're shocked as I am. Jen Psaki can write a book. I didn't think she could even read one, much less write one. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. As we mock the View for having on America's redheaded stepchild, Jen Psaki.
On both sides of working as a press secretary, but also now being in the media. And there's been a lot of criticism of Biden, most recently from the New York Times.
How bad is it when the New York Times is criticizing Biden? I can't even explain how huge this is, that they'd start taking shots at Biden because they hate Trump. And if they're criticizing Biden, they're going like, look, we can't stay silent about this. It's so bad how Biden will not answer press questions.
He's held the fewest interviews and press availabilities of any president since Reagan.
And Reagan, I mean, those are a whole different days of media where you really don't have that much transparency from Reagan prior with access to the press.
I personally think it would help dispel some of the concerns about his age if he did more.
Oh, no, my lady. It wouldn't help dispel concerns if Biden did more press questions. It would greatly exaggerate them. And that's why they won't let Biden do press interviews, because it would be so horrifying. They couldn't edit it enough. They couldn't cover up for him enough. This is the smartest move from the Biden administration, is hide him. Do not debate. Do not let him go out in public. You'll barely see him limp to and from a helicopter anymore.
What would your advice be to the White House in terms of his accessibility to press?
Well, I think the benefit of the media environment right now, there's a lot of challenges.
Again, that's good news for Trump that she acknowledges there are a lot of challenges. They're going to try and blame this on just as if the only challenge is his age and hiding him from the press. There's many other challenges in that he is a failure as a president, as a leader, and as a Democrat. It's hemorrhaging across all fronts, from world security to the border to the economy. I mean, it's much more than just he can't speak to the press.
I'm going to start at the optimistic side, is that there are so many choices. And when you're communicating from the White House, I mean, respect for freedom of speech and freedom of the press is important, but you're also really just trying to communicate with the American people. Right. So my view is he should come on The View before he does a press conference.
Thank you.
What a kiss up.
He should, because people want to have real conversations about issues that are happening.
No, Biden does not want to have real conversations about issues that are happening, like our hemorrhaging economy, like the world wars he's dragging us into, the unrest on our campuses and the riots on our campus. He doesn't want to have that talk. That's what real press would ask him about, but he can't answer those questions.
I think press conferences are important, but I also think him doing Howard Stern, that's an interview that reached a broader audience of people.
Oh, yeah, that hard-hitting truth finder, Howard Stern. That's the only interview that he found time to have? Okay.
If you're in the White House, you're not thinking about, am I checking the box on doing the most interviews? You're thinking about, am I doing the most I can to communicate my message to the American people? That's who I represent.
Well, the boxes he checked was on Karine Jean-Pierre. He checked at least 3 diversity boxes on that one.
So I would say more Howard Stern, come on The View.
Chase more Easter Bunny eggs. have more ice cream. That's her answer. She's covering for him because she's a press person over at MSNBC. Whoever rewarded the president for not taking hard-hitting questions from journalism? She's covering for him. The View is covering for him and lying to their audience.
More smartless conversations.
Biden showed up on a smartless podcast, which I think is just about the weirdest marketing move ever, that it's called smartless. And she's saying more smartless podcasts. I would say The View counts as a smartless podcast too.
You're having conversations about policy, but they're real ones that people have at their kitchen.
And they're also not just gotcha moments. Sometimes as a citizen, when I watch, I don't want the same just like catching moment. I want to know what's going on.
Yes.
I don't always get that from a press conference.
But this is what's weird. With Biden, no one's giving him a gotcha moment. No one is challenging him from their questions. Every once in a while, Peter Doocy can run out when he's walking by from a helicopter, but otherwise, no one challenged him. Remember, this is the emperor has no clothes. The emperor is naked, and all of the media has to tell you, aren't his gowns elegant? Everything is fine. Everything's luxurious. And some little kid looks up and says, the president, the emperor, is naked. And that's the one thing all these people have to do is keep the illusion up that he's clothed.
And you write poignantly about a topic we discuss here.
Thank you, Whoopi.
Often. And it's about the idea of...
That's Jen Psaki's book called Say More. And very ironic because Biden says less. So again, she even betrays the title of her own book.
Sure, and I think many of us can relate to this. Look, I think people probably look at everyone at this table and think, oh, you have it together. You just kind of sailed to this point. And
nobody looks at me and thinks that.
Ana Navarro, nobody looks at this table and says we have it all together. We'll end on that. Good self-own on The View.
And look at this. Jen Psaki's torch for classless comments.
Well, MSNBC host and former White House press secretary Jen Psaki taking major flack after some comments about Vice President J.D. Vance and suggesting the second lady is afraid of him. Watch.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else. Yeah. I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there. And that your whole iteration you just outlined, I mean, he's scarier in certain ways.
Psaki got a ton of criticism, with users on X saying those comments were disgusting, an insult to women who are in actual bad marriages, and that she's not a good person at all.
And I'm assuming she's saying that because Usha Vance, she's not your stereotypical conservative, blonde, blue-eyed woman. So she's like, oh, Usha must not be happy then. Come to our side. It's like, give me a break. Would she be saying that if Usha looked like, Caroline Leavitt, like a more stereotypical conservative woman? Probably not.
Too, during Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Kaylee, so I think it strikes as particularly tone-deaf and, frankly, classless. What say you?
Yeah, how dare Jen Psaki question the marriage of the Vances? Usha Vance is an incredibly smart woman. She graduated from Yale University. Oh, wait, but she also graduated from Yale Law School as well. She clerked for Chief Justice John Roberts. She clerked for Justice Kavanaugh. She's extraordinarily smart and is capable of making her own decisions. And the decision she chose was to marry J.D. Vance, a highly accomplished person. Here's what Usha said about J.D. Vance. At the RNC. He said, when J.D. met me, Usha said, he approached our differences with curiosity and enthusiasm. She talked about how he learned to cook from her Indian mother. And she said, before I knew it, he'd become an integral part of my family, a person I could not imagine living without. They have a beautiful family. But why did Jen Psaki attack Usha? First, she's a strong woman. But second, here is why. The left fears the couple you are looking at. They fear them. The New York Times profiled several young voters who voted for Trump but previously had voted Democratic. Let me just share with you quickly. One said, I was so impressed by J.D. Vance, the way he carried himself, how normal he appeared. Another young voter told the New York Times, I made the decision to vote Trump when I saw J.D. Vance's interview with the New York Times. He's the future of the Republican Party. Finally, a 21-year-old man, I was really impressed with J.D. Vance, especially during the debate. They changed their votes because of that couple. That's a powerhouse couple. Watch out, Jen Psaki.
Whoa, that's huge. That's huge, guys. Okay, we do have breaking news from President Trump. Let's tune in.
They're
what are your top priorities now for the economy for the rest of the year?
To be honest, we are doing so well. You look at this. I hit the 50,000 Dow mark, which everyone said couldn't happen in 4 years. I did it in 1 year. I hit the 7,000 S&P mark in less than 1 year, which was a number, as you know, you reported it. They said if at the end of 4 years you hit those numbers, I did it at the end of a year.
One of you guys even messaged me saying that you are up almost $14,000 since investing in the stock market. Personally, I'm up over $30,000 just from investing into very low risk stocks. And you don't need a lot of money to get started. We actually do have a completely free app that you can sign up for right now with the link below. Or you can take out your phone, scan your QR code with your camera app, and click the link to get started. I also have an investing tutorial below, which you can follow along, and I go over everything that I'm buying. It's very beginner friendly and easy. You can start with just a few dollars. You know, we are seeing record-breaking highs. The stock market is hitting record highs right now. While Trump is still president, I'm going to be investing heavy into the market. I just personally trust President Trump right now. And if you've never invested before, don't worry. You can start with just a few dollars. Your future self, your children, or your grandchildren will thank you for taking this completely free step.